All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
What's up, everybody? NorCal Sports Network. I'm here with Lou. Ryan's going to be joining us pretty shortly. Warriors ink out a tough one, 112-108. It was a close game throughout the whole game. The Warriors did not deserve to win the game. Too many costly turnovers, not making free throws in the clutch. Just an overall sloppy game, in my opinion. Lou, what was your take?
I completely agree. I think the Warriors went in assuming they just show up that they were going to win, especially with New Orleans missing 3 of their starters. You know, just the Warriors, thank God Wiggins showed up tonight because really he was the guy. He was the key. I'm starting to get a little sick and tired of the rotation with Kerr. You know, Looney played great again. It seems like, you know, plays 10 minutes. He gets 7 rebounds. You know, it goes good. But we got to get a better flow, especially on the road. You know, they had a chance to bury them. They never got bigger than a 7-point lead. They're much better in this team. And, you know, they got away with it tonight. They got lucky.
Definitely. We're going to be talking about Wiggins a little bit later because he had a great game. He's playing great this season. He's back to his 2022 form. I'm gonna pull up this box score real quick. You can see this, Lou, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Trace Jackson Davis, 18 minutes. He had 9 points, 8 rebounds. Curry only had 19 points in 33 minutes. Draymond had 13 points in 30 minutes. Wiggins had 28 points in 28 minutes. Great game. Lindy Waters did not have a great game. 0 points in 15 minutes. Podziemski had 11 points. It kind of didn't seem like that. He just did not hit shots. He could not hit threes, and he can't hit threes for his life right now. That shot, he just cannot find that shot right now. Kuminga only played 20 minutes, scored 7 points. Moody, 3 points. Buddy Hield, 12 points. GP2, 4 points. Looney, 4 points. And Kyle Anderson, 2 points. It's, to me, Kuminga, 20 minutes. Does that seem a little low to you?
Yeah, you know, the last couple games, I don't understand it. You know, Kerr loves bringing him and Moody off the bench. But, you know, with the injury, I don't know. I get upset because, like, Peyton last game played 6 minutes. Mm-hmm. 6 minutes out of 11 guys. You know, I don't understand this rotation thing. You know, tonight, Draymond 30, Wiggins 28. Steph played 33 the most, but it didn't seem like it. But, you know, I think they got to play these guys a little bit more. Kuminga 20 minutes, it's not even a half a game. You know, I don't like it. I don't know what they're going to do because, you know, Moody and Kuminga basically do the same. You know, they basically both played 20 minutes. I'd rather them see maybe 26, maybe 27 minutes because, you know what? When we play a better team that's fully loaded, unlike New Orleans on the road, we're going to need them. And, you know, this routine where they all keep coming off the bench, you know, I know they know their roles, guys, but we can't go a whole season like this. That's all I want to say. You know,
I completely agree.
Everyone's trying to step up. And the other thing, too, is I know everyone's trying hard on defense, but, you know, today they gave up a lot of layups, a lot of second shots, and against a good team, especially in the playoffs, you can't let that happen.
Definitely not. And I was looking at this last like 5-6 minutes because it was a close game. The Warriors went up, I think 10 or something. I think it was 99-89 or something like that. They're just constantly subbing guys in and out for this closing lineup. It's too much and it doesn't get continuity. It's like
There's no flow at all. I agree.
Exactly. Figure out your closing lineup and stick with it. I mean, Pods was in there. Buddy Hield was in there. Moody was in there. Gary Payton was in there. There's too many guys, and it's too much shuffling around to me to just get your 5 guys on the field, or on the court, your 5 closing guys, and just roll with it. You don't need to constantly just be playing around with this.
Yeah, and 16 turnovers again tonight. Too many on the road. You know,
Definitely.
New Orleans only had 9. You know, you're not going to win against good teams on the road with 16 turnovers. And it's the key turnovers. You were saying, Bora, how they went up 8 or 10. You know, I saw them up 8. They had 2 or 3 possessions where they had a chance to get it to double digits. A horrible turnover. Then they can't get a rebound, a 3-pointer they get. Now it's down to 5. And then another turnover. You know, it was a sloppy game. It was a very sloppy game.
It was a very sloppy game. I think the Warriors are kind of lucky that they came out with a win. Now they're 3-0 in the NBA Cup. I think that's what it's called now. So I don't know if that guarantees them a spot in their group final, whatever it is. I think New Orleans is eliminated.
If the Nuggets lose, then we automatically win the our bracket. So that's basically, it will be dependent on this Nuggets game. Did they lose or win? Do you know?
The Nuggets? Let me look that up right now.
They're playing Dallas tonight.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So we won't know. We won't know for a bit then.
Yeah. Ryan, what was your take on the game?
Yeah, I thought overall, you know, I think it was a pretty rough win. I know that's hard to say, but, you know, essentially, I thought that, you know, I think Draymond and Steph at the end of the game, the last few games we've been in clutch games, which is, you know, been a handful recently. They've been really good and they've been elite, but kind of today we saw some of my concerns. I know we talked about on the phone with Dan of not having that second shot creator. I think at the end of the game, you really saw, because Willie Green, if you remember, he's a 2-time champion with us. So he knows our system really well. That's the head coach of the Pelicans. So he understands what they're trying to get to at the end of the game. And you saw, like you said, on the inbound pass as well, they were shutting down the Steph and the heel. I mean, the Steph and the Draymond connection. They weren't letting him get the heel. And I think with these teams who know the Warriors a little better, we're going to need to get, you know, a structured closing. We need to get a structured closing lineup. I heard you kind of mention at the beginning where I think we're having a little too much in and out. We don't really know who's going to close. It seems like it's pretty dependent. We know Draymond and Steph are going to be in there, but you didn't even see Hield until it became a free throw shooting battle, which I was glad they did that because you saw him make 2 clutch free throws, which eventually actually mattered a lot. Yeah. And we didn't see Steve Kerr do that the other game. In my opinion, I think Hield, if it's a close game within 5, you got to have him in there at the end of the game. I know he gives up some on defense, but just for that free throw shooting, I think we're going to see a lot of teams do what the Pelicans did tonight, where they just are ready to foul anyone besides Steph. And they're fine with that. And I think if you don't have Hield in there, you're actually kind of giving up points, because our average free throw shooter, excluding Steph on this team, is around like 70%. So it's not very good. And those are numbers where you're willing. And a lot of these guys like Draymond and Kuminga and Trace, they're in the 60%. And Trace is below that. Trace is shooting like 59% from free. So we gotta get the free throws down. And I think we got to get a better closing lineup. And then, like I said, I think at the end of games, we need to be a little bit tighter with the ball. You can't be throwing it away.
Talking about free throws, Andrew Wiggins did not miss 1 free throw today. I think he was 9 for 9. Let's just get into this. Andrew Wiggins looks like an all-star this year. I'm just going to say it. He looks back to his 2022 self. There's a bunch of speculation and rumors as to what caused that time off these past 2 years. We can just throw that out of the window. I think he's healthy right now. He seems motivated. He's in the game. He's playing well. I mean, if Wiggins can continue this throughout the whole year, he might make the All-Star team again. And I think the Warriors have a great chance to compete in the playoffs and make a deep run.
Yeah, what do you think about? Do you think? You know, what do you think about Wiggins, real quick?
I think he's huge. I think Bora brings up a good point. You know, before the season, I would never even be talking about a possible All-Star. I mean, you look at it right now. What everyone's doing is they're doubling Steph as soon as he crosses half court. So somebody has to step up, and that's where Wiggins has stepped up. You know, he's been incredible, and he's been amazing on the 3-point line, where, you know, it's just real smooth. His free throws are there. I think the key to the Warriors, they need to stay healthy. You need Curry to stay healthy and Wiggins. You know, because, you know, injuries are going to happen. but they need those two completely to be ready. Griffin, don't worry. I got 2 clocks. The game doesn't start until 7:30. We all know about it, about U of A Duke. Thank you very little. But I have a job to do here, and I got to do it well. So I think that's really the key is you got to have Wiggins 100%, and you got to have Curry 100%. And then the other guys can fill in. But as Boris said, I think instead of playing 12 guys, we got to get some kind of – we don't need to sub every 5 minutes like grammar school. Get in a flow between 6 and maybe 8, maybe 10 players at the most, and then the guys that don't play, you can put them in the rotation the next game. It's just Bora brought up a great point. I mean, it seemed like, oh my God, another sub. And it just really ruined the flow.
Especially in closing time. I mean, closing time is when you need your 5 most reliable guys on the floor. And if guys are just constantly being subbed in and out, no one really knows their role. And it's like, okay, I mean, it doesn't build team chemistry, in my opinion. And it's like closing time is the most important time of the game because that's when you lose or you're going to win the game. And if you don't have the right guys on the floor, and if you don't have the guys that can make free throws, this game is an example of what can happen. The Warriors squeaked out with this win. They did not deserve to win this game.
Yeah, Brandon Ingram makes that 3. I think they probably lose unless we see some crazy shot from Steph, which can happen. But you shouldn't put yourself, like Lou said, against a bad team like this. I think he said at the beginning of the show, you shouldn't be this close. I think the Warriors only the highest. He said 7. I believe it was 10, but either way, 7 to 10 points. This should have this game should have been over. Midway through the third quarter. This is like Lou said. They have 1 starter out there right now. They only have,
and they made a lot of mental.
2. They got Murphy back, but still, the Pelicans are a shell of themselves. They've won 4 games this whole season. You got to have a better showing against a bad team.
It happens.
Yeah.
The good thing about the Warriors, and I will say one thing positive, is now they're 7-2 on the road. It's not like they win all the games at home. 7-2 on the road. I know when you go on the road, it's always tough. You have distractions. I know, of course, the Homer announcer said the Warriors might have been tired because they didn't get in until 1 o'clock last night. Let me tell you something. These guys don't fly coach. So if the plane was delayed, they still did it all right. And again, they got in at 1. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, if Bora got in 1, he would still be ready to go.
Right. Yeah.
So, one of those things. And now we got a very challenging game. The Spurs that you guys don't think are good, they have a monster in the middle. They have a couple outside shooters, but this is going to be key where they come off really sort of a bad game. They go to San Antonio, and let me tell you, that guy is a freak. And we'll see how good, TJ is and Looney and them, because this guy can dominate outside and inside.
I want to talk about the starting shooting guard spot because I don't think Lindy Waters should be the starting shooting guard for the rest of the season. I know the Warriors started off the season with Wiggins at the 2. I don't know if that's a viable option. What I do know is I want to see more Kuminga minutes, and whether that's him leading the bench or that's him in the starting rotation. All I know is I want to see more Kuminga minutes because I don't know when exactly this was, but it was sometime in the second quarter, I think. And he was just, and the announcers made a point of it. He's like, he has a mismatch against a big, and he's not taking advantage of that.
Yep.
And he passed it up a couple times. Then I think there were 2 consecutive possessions where he's so athletic. He can just get around these guys, and he's so fast that he just powered through these guys, and he had 2 consecutive layups. I want to see more of that. When Kuminga's on the floor with the second unit, I want to see him take control and just I almost want to see him as the point guard. I want the ball in his hands, and I want to see what he can do.
Yeah, like a point forward role.
I'm sorry. I think sometimes he's out there and he's thinking too much and he's trying to be unselfish. Mm-hmm. We need him to take the game over, and I completely agree on that. Good. Sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I completely agree, and I think, I think that's exactly right. I don't have anything else to add. That's all I was saying.
So who would you guys like to see in that starting shooting guard spot?
Yeah, I think, and Dan has a video out on there if you guys want to check out Dan's take, because Dan's not here. But my opinion, I know Dan had mentioned Moody. I think Moody's a decent option. He talks about that a little bit in his video. I personally would go with, I probably would start Kuminga again. I would put, or if I didn't start Kuminga, I'd put Hield. I don't think you need both of them on the bench. And I think we've kind of seen that when they both come in together off the bench, they kind of like pick and choose their turn. And I actually think it's kind of messing up Hield's rhythm a little bit because he's trying to get Kuminga the ball. And if you saw before Kuminga was to the bench, Hield was averaging like 26. Obviously, that wasn't sustainable, but we have seen a huge drop off for Hield. So I think Steve Kerr's what he's trying to do is make sure, everybody's getting their playing time. But really, in that same sense, it's kind of messing up those two people key. Not everyone else, I think, has been fine with it. But I think those two players, we've seen their production drop when you put them together on the bench in that unit. And I think you got to decide one of those two. I'm cool with trying either or. I think Hield, the problem is you're going to lose some defense and you might get run out of the gym if he's not making shots because you're going to be losing a lot on that end. But if he is making shots, you're good. And I think the other end is the problem with Kuminga right now is his shooting outside is just pretty inconsistent. It's better than Pods this season, so I don't know why Pods has been playing so many minutes. But the problem with starting him right now is if you have Kuminga, Trace, and you have Draymond in there, you have three really inconsistent three-point shooters. But if Draymond can continue this three-point shooting, last year he was a 40% three-point shooter almost as well. This year, he's about the same. He's done it before. I think that kind of resolves that issue. So, again, I think either or. I think they got to try one of those two. I'm also fine with trying Moody. You have a lot of options.
Lou, what do you think?
No. I mean, I don't know. I saw an article last week, and they asked about it when the injury first occurred. And, Kerr is like says, no, I want my core four. I want my core four. I'm not going to break it up. Well, you know what? You can see right now it's not working what you're doing. You're going to have to break it up. I personally, if I were to do it, I would probably do Moody because I don't know how Kuminga is going to be starting compared to he's so reliable right now off the bench. I like Moody. I think Moody is one of those players that starting is not going to affect him. I love his defense. And, if you notice sometimes in the beginning, too, we have problems getting rebounds. Moody's one of these guys that's going to go for it. So if it was my choice, I would start Moody.
I like it. Bill M., thank you for the $5. Goddamn right on Kuminga, uses strengths. Yeah, I mean, Kuminga is arguably your most athletic player on the team, I think. He's young, he's athletic, he's powerful. Just play to his strengths and just kind of let him take over, let him run that second unit. Ryan, I completely agree with you with the Kuminga and Buddy Hield, because I think those two guys are kind of in the running right now for sixth man of the year. Both those guys their point totals are up. I think they're both above 15 or something. It's top of the league. I don't know if that's sustainable, and I agree with you. When those two guys are on the court, there's some disconnect, I feel like, because Hield wants the ball and Kuminga also. So does Kuminga. Exactly. So and again, this is what they're 12-3 now, so this is the 15th game of the season. So most likely this is going to get figured out. Guys are going to be set in their roles. We're just talking here. I also want to talk about Brandon Pajemski. Because his 3-point shot does not look good. I mean, he just looks horrible. He looks like he's running cardio on the floor. I mean, this was a guy that the Warriors have kind of deemed untradeable and untouchable. Warriors ownership, I think Joe Lacob called him a future all-star. I don't know if there's too much pressure on him right now or what's going on with him with the face mask or his broken nose. Whatever's going on with him, something needs to change because he was, I think, going into the season, your backup point guard. And he was the guy that was going to hold the ball and carry that second unit. And right now, I don't remember the last time he took a charge. That's kind of that was his games. That was his thing last year. That is his thing. That is his thing. Yeah.
He led the league last season.
Yep. I don't I don't know what's happening there, but I do know that something needs to change. I mean, how many minutes did he play today? He played 21 minutes. I think that needs to go down. I would give those minutes to Kuminga. I would give those minutes to Moody. I would give those minutes to Trace. Buddy Hield only played 19 minutes. Kevon Looney only played 14 minutes. Kyle Anderson only played 5 minutes. I would put Moody, Pod's minutes down and bring everybody else's minutes up, because I don't care what his plus minus is. I know that's a stat, and that's a useful stat. It can be. But at the end of the day, if you're not producing points, and if you're not putting the ball in the basket, something's got to change.
Yeah, and they tried tonight something. I don't know if you guys remember. They did sort of like an easy alley-oop where you got a rebound, so you took a 2-footer, then he hit a float. I mean, he's doing his rebounds. He's always getting like 5 to 8 rebounds, but I don't feel safe when he's out there. It's almost like a 5-on-4. Because you're right, hits for 3-pointers aren't even close. They're
he airballed a couple today.
You know,
it was bad.
And again,
ESPN. I don't know if you guys were watching on ESPN or NBC, and everyone in the chat. I don't know what you guys were watching, but on the ESPN one, wasn't Richard Jefferson. It's his backup. I forget who it is, but he Kuko. He basically was saying, he's like, yeah. Podziemski last season, there was a lot of hope he could be the second guard on this team, but with his shot looking like this, I don't know, Rich. And I think he's right. I think if he can't have a consistent shot, or not even look, the problem with Podziemski, when he's not hitting his threes, I don't know if you guys have noticed, he also stops his. Yeah, I haven't even seen him shoot a floater all season. Remember that used to be his thing.
I saw him shoot one tonight, but he sort of had to, because he sort of got caught in midair.
Oh, I missed that one. But since then, I mean, he's totally taken that out of his game. Last year, he was a really good player to get the ball to when you were running out of time. And he'd just get these little chuck up and he'd get something going. Now he can't even do that. When he gets the ball at the end, he just gives it to someone else. And then they have to chuck up a grenade because he's worried about, he's probably worried about his percentages.
I think the pressure has sort of gotten to him, maybe to his head where he thinks he might have been better. Mm-hmm. I haven't really seen him take another step up. You know, I don't know if it's a sophomore jinx. I don't know if everyone, because the other day, Green came out and says, oh, no, he's fine. You know, he's just, okay, well, when other players are telling you how to do it, where before it was the press, the owners are telling, I mean, they made this guy like almost an all-star after 1 year. You got to remember, the guy came out immediately. I think he only played 1 year at Santa Clara, right? And now he basically would be a sophomore. I mean, I'm sorry, a junior in college. You got to give the time. But at the same time, you know, this is the NBA. You got to step up and you got to perform. If not, then you know what? Instead of you getting 20 minutes, you get 16. If not 16, boom. You know, and everyone talks about, you know, if this guy has to improve for us to advance. I'll just leave it at that. And if he can't, then you know what? With the trade deadline, you trade him and Kuminga to get someone good. Because now what are we going to do? You know, exactly. We need another shooter. We need somebody like a Benedict from Indy.
Yeah.
You know, a guy that plays great defense and can shoot. That's what we're missing, because right now we really have 2 guys that are really helping us out. Buddy Hield is hit and miss. You know, we have Wiggins and Curry, and we do need that third shooter. And, you know, when Curry's off the floor, you can see the difference. You know,
it's
they look like they're all scared to shoot. That's my thing right now, and that's what I get worried about. I was talking about with Bora today, why I think the Warriors should make a trade for, you know, the right player, a young star, not an older star. Yeah, but my thing is, these guys just look. A lot of these guys, besides Hield and Kuminga, they don't look like they're ready to go for their shot. Like, they're all like looking around, and then when it's like the last couple seconds, then they just throw something up because they're all just waiting. And it's like, what are you waiting for? Steph's not even in the game. Like, who do you getting the ball to? It's because, you know, the thing is, Lou, they're all role players. None of them are like Hield and Kuminga. Kuminga has that star mentality. He's not a star yet, but he has that star mentality. Mm-hmm. Hield was a star in college, and that's never left him. That's why he's been an unconscious shooter his whole career because of that confidence. And I just don't know if we have – and that's why I think we really need to get Kuminga more time, because we already know Hield's a bench player. But you don't know that with Kuminga. We got to play him, even if he's on the bench, you got to play this guy at least 25 to 32 minutes.
I agree.
Not 20 minutes, not 18. It's ridiculous. He's one of the only players on your team who can actually create their own shot and get to the hoop if they need to.
It's if we're going back to the 2022 season when they won the finals, Klay Thompson was their starting shooting guard, and he didn't play great defense, right? He hasn't been the same defensively since his injuries. So it's not like Hield has to be this super defender in order to get in the starting lineup. I just think he just needs to hit his shots, and he just needs to show the effort on defense, because I think that's the most important thing. If you're not fundamentally sound on defense, if you can't, if you foul too much or anything, those are all physical errors. If you're not showing effort on the field, on the court, if you're not hustling, if you're not sprinting up and down the court, that's a mental error, and we can't afford mental errors. You need to be mentally in the game 100%. And
I agree.
And if Hield looks like he's mentally in it right now, if he can just continue to show that defensive effort, then I would consider giving him that starting shooting guard role. Because right now, I mean, Lindy Waters is not it. He's a bench player. He's a role player. We know who Lindy Waters is. He has some upside, but he can't be your starting shooting guard on a championship caliber team. He just can't. That can't happen. What do you guys think of Kyle Anderson? Because he had 5 minutes today. I don't really know who. I mean,
not enough.
I mean, what's his role? Is he? Because I know he's
I'd like him to be with. Personally, I'd like him to either be with Kuminga or Hield as that second shot creator. And that's the thing. That's what I've been saying is having all three of those guys who are ball. And obviously, Kyle Anderson's the worst ball handler. I think he has a little bit better handles than Kuminga actually, but. He can bring the ball up the court. He can play that mini Draymond role. He likes to have the ball in his hands too, Bora. So having all three of those guys on the bench, it's just like too much dribble. You know what I mean? So I think, I like Kyle, but I think Kyle needs a more defined role on the bench. He needs to kind of be that seventh man, not the sixth man that's Hield, but that seventh, like, for example, we had David West and Sean Livingston. They were that 1-2 punch on the bench during, the 2014, 2015 run. They were a really good duo off the bench. I think obviously they're two completely different players, but just in that sense where you have this defined roles, like, Kyle's going to be the one handling the ball. And that's why I think it'd almost be smarter, like I said, to start Kuminga or Hield rather than like a Moody, because Moody, we've seen, he can play any role.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Kyle actually fits with this team. I personally, I know this is his 14th in the NBA. He's a great player when he's in. But I don't really know where he fits with the Warriors. You can't start him. Right. He's really sort of not tall enough to be the center. He's, he can dribble the ball, but I mean, it's sort of weird where he fits in, Bora. I'm not even sure. To tell you the truth, there are some games where he's a DNP. There's some games he gets 6. When he's out there, I don't really see a big difference. I mean, maybe on defense, but I don't know. Compared to what we have, I think he should be less minutes than everybody else. Him and Bazinga. So that's just me. Because it's weird. He just doesn't fit.
I completely agree with you, Lou. He doesn't really have a set role. To me, when I watch this second unit, sometimes they get way too passive. It's like every second it's a pass, it's a pass, it's a pass. No one's cutting. No one's actually taking the ball into their hands and making a play happen. I know Curry does that sometimes. Curry's sometimes way too passive, in my opinion. But somebody in this,
especially early games, late games he'll take over, but early games, you're right. But I've noticed that real quick on the Steph thing. Early games, Steph, I agree. The whole team early games, and then we get out to these really slow starts because Steph doesn't want to get his shot off, and then everyone's just passing, and it's like then they got to throw in Hield because just Hield he'll just start throwing them up.
Exactly, and going back to the overly passive, someone on this second unit just needs to take over. I mean, whether it's Hield one day, whether it's Kuminga another day, whether it's Moody another day, whether it's Looney another day, someone on this team just needs to take over because right now there's this starting lineup to me looks pretty good. But the second unit, it's like there's a couple pieces in and out. And this is, I think, a product of the 12-man rotation. And this is going to go in my next point. Does this team have too much depth? Because we know they have a lot of depth, but does this team have too much depth? Because, I mean, it's a 12-man rotation. It was a 13-man rotation before Melton tore his ACL. I think they're going to make a trade, and that depth is going to go away because they're going to trade some of that depth to get a player. But right now, it's like these guys don't necessarily know their roles, and there's just too many guys playing 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 15 minutes that deserve to be playing 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think like I talked about, and we'll kind of end on this because I know Lou wants to get to this Arizona game. If it were me personally, I'd like to see a consolidation trade. Because I think there's, like you said, a little too much depth. We're starting to see it. I think it still will work in the regular season because of how much depth you'll have. You'll win a lot of games. Like we saw tonight, you're going to get lucky sometimes. A lot of games, your depth's just going to outlast people because we just kept having these, waves in the early game when the Warriors would look lethargic. They just have these new bodies to throw in. That's all great. But at the end of the day, I think it's more important to have that, maybe get rid of a few of these younger players and a couple of these bench roles that other teams really would want or could trade or make multiple moves with, so you can get that second star. Someone, for me, I really would like to, go for like a Bam Adebayo, because I think the Heat are kind of, at that point where they're ready to move off of Jimmy or Bam. I think they'll try to move Jimmy first. So I think Bam's, a far stretch, but something like that, somewhere a young star,
and he's a winner.
Giannis. Yeah, Bam is a winner, 100%. Two-time Olympic gold player. He knows he would fit right into our system too. He's literally just like a better, little taller Draymond because he can shoot his outside shots. He can play the 4. He can play the 5. He guards Jokic better than Draymond. Personally, I think he's a Hall of Fame player if he continues to, if he continues with his trajectory at this age, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. So I'd love to add someone like that, someone just, someone young who could fit in our system.
All right. We're coming to the end, I think. I'm going to get to some chats. Griffin says, by game 30 or so, hopefully roles are more defined. This is still a new-looking roster, and there will probably be a trade by game 30 as well. Completely agree. We're just, again, they've played 15 games. This is very early, but we also have to have something to talk about. So we're going to talk about this. And then Philip says, I don't follow basketball that closely, but isn't what they're doing working? Yes, it is working. They're 12-3. We're more or less talking about later in the season and going into the playoffs, because I think right now they look like a playoff team. And if Curry's going to get number 5, some things are going to start to need to happen, and some things are going to need to change. Griffin with another comment, Lindy Waters' minutes should disappear. That would cut it to 11 guys. Pods may need to go down to Santa Cruz or something. Then we're at 10. Yeah, Lou, to your point, they're playing 12 guys. I think sooner or later, and it's going to happen, I think, that they're going to need to go back down to 10. It's going to need to be a 10-man rotation just so that people know their roles and people have a defined role.
And again, a win on the road in the NBA is great. We're not criticizing it. We're just thinking long-term. The game shouldn't have been that close. And, in the playoffs, you play like this, where you're not mentally 100% all in, you're going to lose. And we can't have that happening.
Completely right. Are you guys ready to jet out of here? Or
yeah,
let's just do real quick. Yeah. Real quick, next game, and then we'll just do the spot. What's the next game? Just real quick.
Tomorrow night.
When we'll be back. We play tomorrow?
Tomorrow's the 23rd, right?
No, yeah, this is first back-to-back, I think, all season.
Tomorrow they play the Spurs. It's gonna be a 5:30 game. So
we'll be back tomorrow night at what? Around 8:30. 8:45. Yeah.
Guys, we are. I don't know if you guys are gonna do a live with Dan after this with the Giants. We're also putting out a lot of videos. Go check our videos out. They're shorter videos. If you guys are interested in the Dodgers or Giants, go check that out. We are also sponsored by Chapman Law Group. give them a call, 415-613-9483. If you have any legal issues or legal problems that you need solving, go tell them that NorCal Sports Network sent you. I think that's pretty much it. Let's get out of here. Do you guys have any last thoughts?
No, we'll see you guys. Dan might possibly be on here later tonight. If so, you will see the thumbnail out here in the next 15 minutes. If not, just look back for us tomorrow night, and we will be posting a video tomorrow at 10 a.m. So look for that.
All right. And everyone be careful. In Northern California, we're going through a huge storm, real windy.
Sure.
Everyone, please be careful. Stay home and watch NorCal Sports and watch sports on TV. Don't drive.
That's true. Right now is a good time to watch sports. Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.